What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the show. This is Harrison in post-production. I was editing the podcast, and I know there was some audio issues with the podcast. We did this filming in person for the first time in a very, very long time. I was using my regular microphone, and Nick was using one of my older backup microphones. So there's a little bit of echoing going on throughout the podcast. Hopefully that's not too much of a distraction and not too much of an issue, as we had some really great discussions with our Game of the Year list. So without further ado, hopefully you enjoy our top 10 favorite games of 2024. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Gaming with the Bros Cast, episode 245. Had a little bit of technical difficulties, but we are good. My name is Harrison. I'm joined by my brother Nick, as always. Nick, let's shake hands once again.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. We've already said if you're listening live, but this is we did our Game of the Year episode back in 2019. For those who have been with us that long. And we've had a couple of not episodes, but a couple of live streams we've done for E3 and other stuff. But this is the first one we've done live in 5 years. So
Live and in person.
So
They're all live.
They're all live. Yeah. Not all in person. So pretty exciting stuff. So we're going to be talking about our top 10 favorite games of the year. And we, with our podcast, we don't argue over what should be number one. We kind of just have our own separate list, and we talk about them. We'll do our honorable mentions, maybe some disappointing games that we have this year. But this will be our final show of 2024. I know in the past we've done like the early January is when we've done Game of the Year, and I feel like we're
locked in enough.
Yeah.
I just want to get this out of the way. I played 35 hours of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I played 10 hours of Yakuza. I played 15 hours of Unicorn Overlord. I didn't finish any of those, and to be honest, I'm not going to finish them before the end of the year.
Yeah.
So it's safe to say I'm locked in. I apologize to any RPG fans that I have pissed off by saying all this, but we're going to move on, and we're going to lock in exactly where we are. So
yeah. I mean, there's a couple of games where I didn't finish up, but I mean, and normally in the past, we'll use Christmas break as a time to catch up. I don't feel like I needed that this year. I don't think you necessarily needed to make any of your opinions. So,
and the other part of that we haven't talked about yet is if we were to wait until January, who knows what's going to happen with Switch 2?
Yeah.
We don't want to put out a Game of the Year episode when the Switch 2 is being revealed.
And then we're talking about whatever that lineup is, and whatever new games are going to be announced. So
this is an early Christmas gift for you to listen to with your family on Christmas morning while you're opening up presents, and just talk about how much you love the Bros.
Exactly. Hey, that's what we do around here. We game and we're bros, so it's all good. But Nate, before we dive into, because there's really hasn't been much news happening. There was like I think the original Dead Space team had pitched Dead Space 4, and EA denied it, which I feel like that was already a story a while ago, but
I think that was a story after Dead Space Remake came out. Right?
Yeah.
Because it didn't do super well. I mean, it sold over 1 million, but
yeah,
I think it underperformed expectations.
Yeah.
You could have kind of inferred that from the sales there, but
yeah, I mean, Dead Space Remake was so good. I was really hoping they would do Dead Space 2 and just kind of carry it on, but it sounds like it's probably going to be on hold for forever. Who knows? But yeah, before we dive into that, Nick, how's your week been?
Dude, week's been great. I'm on a 2-week break from work.
Let's go.
Yeah, everyone's on break, so I won't come back to a bunch of emails, which is awesome. But yeah, I'm off until right after the new year. So, I've been here, and not in this house, but I've been in the area, and been chilling. It's been great. It's been a great week.
Yeah,
really enjoyed it. How about you?
Yeah, good. Yeah, just kind of been finishing up the last minute shopping stuff.
Oh yeah.
When you have, I got all the family members taken care of, but when you have kids, you're like, I don't know, you want it to be so much, and you kind of like, you feel the nostalgia through them, and you remember how awesome your childhood was, like waking up every morning, and you want to create that experience every single time. So, yeah, usually every year, like, we'll kind of do the thing and put all the stuff in front of the tree, and then I'm the one that's like, there's not enough stuff, so let's get more. So I think we're good this year, but that's usually how it goes. But
no Christmas Eve shopping this year?
I can't do it this year, man. I think I've done it like for the last 3 or 4 years, and it's just kind of exhausting.
Yeah, probably a bit stressful.
Yeah, because like places close early.
Yeah,
and I'd rather just be at home, kind of chilling out. But I think we're good. We got a lot of good stuff. So
heck yeah.
But yeah, week was great. We did the Christmas stuff with our extended family, so that was awesome seeing everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I've got, I think it's, they never confirm it until like 15 minutes before they let us go.
Oh,
but
getting off work early tomorrow.
Probably getting off work early tomorrow, and then I'm off for like 8 days. So definitely looking forward to that.
That's gonna be great.
The only kind of bummer is I don't really have anything to like play. You know, I've kind of played everything, but you know, Christmas. You know, who knows?
I have some great RPG recommendations.
I almost booted up Final Fantasy because I still have your 7 remake. I almost booted that up the other night. I think I installed it, but I was like, I'm gonna wait until like I'm officially off for.
I mean, that could be going because that one's
not super long.
Yeah, it's not super. I think I beat it in 20 hours. Well, it might have been more than 20 hours. I think it was around 25.
Okay.
So it's not incredibly long, but Rebirth is a lot better than Remake.
Yeah, that's what I've kind of heard. But I definitely want to experience the first one.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, you want to just dive right into it?
Before we dive into 2024, should we take a look back at 2023?
Yeah.
Look at our Game of the Year list from last year, because I was looking at mine earlier today, and I was just thinking to myself, "Wow, this is such a banger list."
Let me see. I think I've got.
You got yours.
Got it right here.
Put it up somewhere.
We got both of ours.
Nice.
So actually, let me just.
Yeah, share it with the class.
Screen share. That's not the one, is it? No. There we go.
Notepad.
There we go.
Nice.
All right. So, scroll this one. Okay. So we both had. I mean, just looking at this list right here, and we don't have to go game by game. Looking at this list, we do this every year. Are you still pretty confident about what you put out, or what your thoughts were last year?
Yeah, I mean, definitely with Tears of the Kingdom at number 1.
Yeah. I guess for the audio listeners here, I've got Tears of the Kingdom number 1. Number 2 is Armored Core 6. 3 Sea of Stars. 4 Alan Wake 2. 5 Dredge. 6 Pikmin 4. 7 Dead Space Remake. 8 Resident Evil 4 Remake. 9 Lies of P. And 10 Metroid Prime Remastered.
And then mine was 1 Tears of the Kingdom. 2 Sea of Stars. 3 Resident Evil 4. 4 Lies of P. 5 Alan Wake 2. 6 Baldur's Gate 3. 7 Metroid Prime Remastered. 8 Pikmin 4. 9 Armored Core 6. 10 Super Mario Bros. Wonder. You know, I still think that's a good list.
Yeah, our lists are relatively the same. Just kind of the order was mixed up. But I mean, yeah, that was such a great year.
Is there anything from my list that you think is too low? I mean, or that shouldn't be on there?
I mean, no, because I mean it's your list, so I'm not like upset. Like for me, like I could. I mean, obviously, like Armored Core 6 was number 2 for me. So like maybe
number 9 for me.
Yeah, number 9 for you. But I love that game so much.
Yeah.
I mean,
outside of that though, we were pretty aligned.
Yeah. I mean, you had BG3 on there. I had Dredge.
I had Lies of P higher than you did.
Yeah.
Because you just got so frustrated.
I did get pretty frustrated with that game. I loved it, and I thought the aesthetic was great. I mean, the combat was a lot of fun. I just could not, for whatever reason, get the countering down, which was, and that's a huge part of that game. And there was a lot of, dual two-phase full health boss fights that I didn't love. Yep. I'm never a big fan of those in any Souls games. But yeah, all in all, I thought it was great. I thought last year was excellent.
Yeah.
And Tears of the Kingdom, I still think is definitely game of the year.
Number one.
Yeah.
And I guess before we dive into our list, a couple caveats, or I guess really just one main caveat, and that's that DLC is not going to be included on our list. So Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree, one of our favorite experiences of the year. And you could almost constitute it as a full game, but the fact that you have to play through optional stuff to get to it, and then you have to be leveled enough to actually progress. It's hard to kind of constitute it as its own game. So for that reason, we're not including it in our list. It got its flowers in 2022.
Yeah,
both of our games of the year.
Yeah.
So
definitely,
I think it's got its time to shine, in my opinion.
And it's got next year too, Night Rain. I mean,
that one we could include.
Yeah,
that's a absolutely experience.
Absolutely, and hopefully, I mean, if it's on, like, if it hits our top 3 as like a multiplayer only kind of, I mean, you could play single player, but as a weird co-op game and it hits our top 3, I mean, that's just kind of
nutty.
Yeah, that's a huge statement from Elden Ring, just in general. So. Would you want to dive into like our kind of honorable mentions and maybe anything you had disappointing?
Yeah, let's start with the disappointments. Let's start off on the sour note and then kind of build up from there.
Okay. You want to go first?
Yeah, and I'll caveat this again. I need to finish this game, and I know it just recently got an update to improve the hand-holdiness of it, but Plucky Squire, I was pretty disappointed in that with how hyped I was for it for so many years. Like, it was announced in 2021 or 2022. And to me, it was a bit of a letdown. I think it was way too handholdy. And usually I'm not so against that kind of stuff, but it just got to a point where like every single place you got to was a stopping point pretty much. Like you were kind of like fighting against the game almost to progress.
Yeah.
So for that reason, that game is a little bit disappointing, kind of a bummer. I'll try to get back to it and play some more, but yeah. What about you?
I mean, Plucky Squire, I don't think I was so disappointed with it, but I could definitely. I just didn't play it enough, so I didn't really experience that handholdiness like you do. But I don't think I put in like an hour and a half, to be honest, like maybe 2 hours. So like I didn't really get to experience that kind of stuff. But as someone who doesn't have the patience for a lot of that Mario RPG kind of like handholdy, okay, can we just get to the damn like gameplay?
Yeah.
That would definitely be a problem for me. This is also going to be something that's obviously not going to be on my list, but Dragon Dogma 2 was a very big, not like a major disappointment, because like I never played Dragon Dogma once. I didn't really have that kind of nostalgia for it. Mm-hmm. And I wrote in quotations the first half. Like the first half of that game was incredible. I loved the vibes were incredibly high. A lot of people are like, "Oh, there's no fast traveling, or there's like a very limited fast traveling, and there's like the aux system where you travel on cart." And I really like that because every time you left the city, it felt like its own unique adventure.
Yeah.
And then as soon as you got to that second area, it was incredibly frustrating. There was too many enemies in, like, I would go through a camp and all of a sudden, like the combat, the difficulty of that game really spiked, in my opinion. So I would try to run through a nest of enemies and then I'd immediately get caught up in another nest of enemies. So I just felt like I was really struggling to get through that second half. And then I didn't love the end game stuff. Like after you beat the main game, you have like that couple hours of extra. Didn't love that stuff.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
So very, very frustrating second half of that game. First half was great, but yeah. That's really the only two disappointments that I had. There wasn't a lot of games this year that really disappointed me.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing.
I mean, there was like all the Mario remakes and stuff, like Showtime. Like it didn't disappoint me because I never played it.
Right.
Didn't really care for it. What I saw, Luigi's Mansion 2, already played it back on the 3DS. I didn't really feel like I needed to, play it again, especially if it being, a full price game. I just didn't find it worth it.
Yeah. Right. I mean, I'll say Hellblade 2 was a bit of a disappointment just based off of how long we waited for that game and how short it was.
Yeah.
And how similar it felt to the first game. I really thought that game was gonna build upon the first game in a lot of ways, and it really didn't. The combat changed a little bit, but nothing too substantial. It was really iterative.
Yeah, and like I understand why they did the combat that way, but like in terms of like an adventure kind of thing, like it just didn't make any sense to fight one enemy at the same. Like it just makes no sense.
Yeah.
But I obviously like they really kind of scaled back the combat. It made it pretty easy to get through. But again, visually, I mean, performance-wise, I mean, everything was like 10 out of 10. It was just, the kind of story was a little bit of it was good. I liked it.
Yeah, I thought the story was good.
Yeah, but the combat was pretty boring for the most part. And again, like you said, it's a really, really short game. But also, I wouldn't want to play that game for 10 hours plus either.
That's the thing.
So
they just needed to do something to make it more enticing to be played rather than to just be experienced.
Yeah. So yeah, a little frustrating with that one, but I mean, again, I thought it was a good experience.
Yeah.
Honorable mentions. We already mentioned Shadow of the Erdtree, Dragon Dogma 2 for me, which I kind of lumped that in honorable mentions and kind of disappointment. And then Dredge, the Iron Rig, the second DLC that came out for that game. Kind of more of the same with Dredge, but if you really like Dredge like I do, it was another great piece of expansion. Story-wise, it was really cool, like seeing the ground crack and see all like the other crazy fish come out of there, and kind of seeing like the company of the oil rig wanting to push for destroying the environment, and kind of seeing that story happen. And then obviously it doesn't go great for the company itself at the end of the day, but that was a good piece of DLC.
Nice. I'll go with Castlevania Dominus Collection. I wasn't going to include it on my list because it's just a collection of DS games. It's not really a remake or a remaster or anything like that. But those are the first sets of Castlevania games that I played, and it really got me into the series. And all three of those games are really great, and they're all right. I burned through all three of them back to back.
You did. You played the shit out of those games.
I did. I mean, I played a ton of those Castlevania games, and they're all really great. So shout outs to those games. And then also Paper Mario, The Thousand Year Door. I had never played that one before.
First time for you, yep.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really great. I'm not gonna include it on my list. It's more so of it airs more on the side of a remaster for me.
It's like a high quality remaster.
Yeah, like really high quality remaster. But yeah, really enjoyed it and excited for whatever they do with the next Paper Mario. Hopefully it's more in line with that style of game than it is with
Origami King.
Yeah, Origami King. That game's freaking gorgeous.
Oh, that game's beautiful. Yeah, story was good. The combat just wasn't. I just did not enjoy that combat at all.
Yeah,
the wheel system. All right, we ready to?
Oh, sorry. One more honorable mention, and it may have made my list if I finished it, and I didn't get a chance to. But Dragon's Quest III remake.
Okay, yeah.
I'm like 20 something hours in. I'm at the end game. I can see the end of the game in sight, but I just couldn't get there. So didn't make the list.
I mean, you've really cranked out the RPGs this year.
I have.
You've really cranked through them, and that's one. That is definitely one that I really want to play, especially since they're redoing 1 and 2, but 3 is like the prequel to those, so that's why they're coming out that way. But yeah, that one looks really good.
But now I'm ready to dive in.
Let's do it. All right, who wants to start off first?
You started off.
Okay.
Start us off.
I'm gonna start off with Emio the Smiling Man.
Okay.
And the reason why I put it at 10 is just because like it's not really that much of a game. It's a point and click adventure. But it's kind of a revitalization of the Famicom Detective Club games. I don't know if there's been one in 20 years or something. And this game, I mean, obviously the way they start off that little weird 15-second trailer, like it really got a lot of people's attention and mine too. And I was like, what the heck? What is this? Is it a new IP? Turns out it wasn't. But it got me engaged enough to where I was like, okay, well, let me download the demo. And they really kind of did it like a weekly chapter. I think there's 10 or 11 chapters in the game, and they let you play chapter 3, which is like a good portion of the game. And I was pretty hooked. It's in Japanese but localized, for English. So it's all Japanese voice acting, but I was engaged with that game, and the story I thought was really, really great. And then the prologue, where it kind of turned the story on its head a little bit, was awesome. So
I still need to play this game.
Yeah, it's really, really good. It's the perfect, like, I mean, we talk about it a lot, but it's the perfect wind down game. Play one chapter a night because it takes about an hour for each chapter. Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, I liked it a lot.
You let me borrow it, so I have it in my possession. I just need to actually fire it up and play it.
How much of did you play through all 3 chapters?
I think I played through chapter 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, gameplay wise, there's not much there. It is just a lot of clicking dialogue options until you get to the right one. Yeah.
I did get annoyed with the bus stop in chapter 2.
Yeah.
I just didn't know what to click.
Yeah.
To make it progress.
Yeah, there's a lot of like, okay, looking at certain items and then looking at people, and then your character gives like a little monologue about that person. And then that might trigger the person to say something. So it's a little weird, and it's kind of confusing at sometimes on what you're actually supposed to be clicking. There's a lot of like clicking on the same one over and over again, because I was like, well, maybe if I, exhaust the dialogue and then they'll say something else, but that wasn't the case. So
yeah,
that's a little frustrating, but I think the story really carries it, and I think it's worth it to get through it.
Nice. All right.
So number 10.
Number 10 is Mario and Luigi Brothership.
Okay, nice.
Severely underrated game, in my opinion. This one,
IGN's 5.
IGN's 5 out of 10 will go down to history as not one of the worst reviews, because everyone is entitled to their own opinion. But okay, let me just talk about what I love about the game and not focus on this review as I always do. But the combat in this game is fantastic. It's just as good, if not better, than previous games in the series. There's a lot of like stylish bros moves that you can do that look really cool even after the 100th time doing them. And I think kind of the ramp up in difficulty and the ramp up in your move set and the bros moves that you get, I think that the 75% of it is paced wonderfully, and then the final 25% has some pacing issues. I think it goes on, 5 to 7 hours too long.
Okay.
But that being said, the majority of the game is really great. I think the story is great. I love the kind of the theme of connection and connecting people in the world. That it really resonated. I feel like people need to play this game and see the story through, because it's a really great story, and it has a nice twist towards the end. It gets a little bit dark, and I don't know. I really appreciated that out of a Mario game. I think it's one of the stronger like Mario stories in general.
Which is, I mean,
it's a low bar.
It's a very low bar, but at least somebody's doing it right. And this was the developer that makes Octopath Traveler, so they've got some decent chops.
Yeah, got some good writers in there too.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is my number 10.
Cool. All right. Well, my number 9 is Call of Duty Black Ops 6.
Nice.
I was debating if I was going to put COD on here, but this, and I haven't played a Call of Duty since Black Ops 4, so like I've missed a ton.
Years.
So I don't know 100%. I know like the Omni movement stuff is new, brand new. All the other stuff, I don't know what's new and what's not. I still haven't completed the campaign yet. I'm at the kind of the horror level, which is really cool. So I've got to finish that. But from the multiplayer alone, because I still haven't played any zombies, the multiplayer alone, and again, it doesn't seem like it's relatively new as far as Call of Duty goes, but this is definitely, and reviewer wise, I think this is definitely the best Call of Duty in a long, long time. And I really resonated with this one. I've just been enjoying the game.
Yeah,
and
it's incredible.
Some multiplayer games can get frustrating, but this one, I mean, the combat is so fast. You respond to the detriment of the game a little bit. You respawn so fast. Yeah. Like there's really no, you have your bad games, you have your good games. I think all the guns are fun. The leveling up is quick. I prestige once already. I don't know how much I'm going to play. How much more I'm going to play of it, to be honest. But it's kind of every multiplayer game. I'll come back to it every couple months. There's some sort of event going on. I was the same way with Fortnite and Halo and stuff like that. So I'm sure I'll be back at some point. But yeah, it's really good.
It's really great. This game was on my list at some point, and then it fell off. And that's not like a testament of the quality of the game.
Just a lot of good games.
A lot of great games.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, it's Call of Duty. Like at the end of the day, right. It's Call of Duty, and normally, like it wouldn't even be a blimp on my radar for Call of Duty. And this year, like maybe it was definitely Game Pass that helped because I didn't spend $70 to play it.
That helps a little bit.
But from what I mean, everything that I've played with it, it's been an absolute blast.
Yeah, the campaign was really great. I haven't played a ton of Call of Duty campaigns outside of like a couple of Black Ops and a couple of Modern Warfares back in like the 2010s. But this was it was a really great campaign.
Yeah. It's all. I mean, like visually it looks great. Gunplay. I mean, it's Call of Duty, so it's always like usually top tier. So yeah. What's your number 9?
My number 9 is Stellar Blade.
Wow. Okay.
The Gooner game.
The Gooner game.
I on my list because it makes me seem like a Gooner. But I mean, that kind of stuff aside,
the Gooniest game of all time.
Game. That aside, the combat in this game is truly exceptional.
Yeah.
I think the dodge and the parry system feels really good. Like it feels pretty close to something like Sekiro. And it's not, it's not the most sophisticated game out there. Like you have your skill tree, you have some kind of like middle of the road bosses. I think some of them are standouts, other are kind of your generic, like, oh, this is just like an amalgamation of monster type thing.
Yeah, they definitely repeat. Like you could feel like they kind of repeat a lot of the movesets too.
Yeah,
for a lot of those bosses, which is fine. I mean,
like swipe, pause, swipe, that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Like, all the classic Sekiro timing stuff is kind of repeated throughout that game. But like, I think the environments are great. The exploration is relatively rewarding. It's cool that there are a bunch of outfits. There are some that, listen, I wouldn't want someone to walking on me playing this game.
Yeah, there's a lot of like really, really questionable outfits. And I tried them all on, and there was some that I'm like, okay, I could feel like if you are really into this, the gooniness of this game, you're gonna goon. You're gonna edge and you're gonna goon this entire time. But yeah, there was a couple of outfits where I wore for like maybe 20 minutes. I'm like, I gotta change this. This is kind of distracting, and I feel very weird like watching this game.
And my thing is, I play all my games in the living room on the TV. And my wife is usually sitting beside me, either like on her iPad or watching me play.
Yeah, you can't truly have a goon sesh then. Is what your problem is. Normally, if you were by yourself, you would have been number 1. Okay,
I got you. I need like an office. So there were a couple times where like I was like cycling through outfits, and she was like, "Are you like what is that?" Like, oh my god, like the cheeks are out. They're
out.
But I mean, that stuff aside, it's a really great game.
I mean, I'll talk about it here again in a little bit, but
What is your number 1 game?
Maybe we'll see.
Right, what's your number 8?
My number 8 is Indiana Jones and the Great Circle.
Wow.
Yeah, I think a lot of it had to do with like maybe some recency kind of bias or whatever. So I really had to like think about that when I was making my list. I feel like I'm being judged a little bit. That being said, this is the best Xbox exclusive game they've had in probably since the Xbox Series X and S launched. I mean, outside of Infinite, I loved Infinite a lot.
Yeah.
And Forza 5, Forza Horizon was really great too. Just not a big racing guy, but yeah, this is easily their best new IP-ish, if you want to call it a new IP. In a very, very long time. This game is outstanding, and I think it could have been a little bit higher if it wasn't for that bug that I had in the very first open area that was still not resolved for me, even though in their patch notes it says it was fixed. But maybe just the way the game worked, and I had already progressed on with the main story that because you can go back to these levels once you get so far in the game, and it still wouldn't work, and it locked me out of like. Because I think you get a relic that's tied to the late, like the kind of the end game.
Yeah.
So I knew I wasn't going to get that. So I was like, well, I'll go back to it. I'll probably go back to it here over my break and just maybe see if there's another patch that comes out. Probably not, because they're probably on vacation as well, and much as everything. But so yeah, if I didn't run to that, maybe a little bit higher. But I really did love this game. I love the exploration. They nailed the tone of Indiana Jones to its full, like it's perfect. The combat, the fisticuffs of the combat is so fun, and it's
like silly.
Yeah, it's so silly, but it reflects what Indiana Jones is like. You could easily go through this game without using a gun at all. Like most of the time, like I did fire my pistol a couple times, and like some of the rifles you get just because I wanted to try it. But most of the time, I get the weapons and I just flip it around and beat people with it. Yes, story wise, I thought the story was excellent. How they tied it into like kind of like Assassin's Creed. They tie it into like historical object.
Historical fiction.
Yeah, historical fiction. And I thought that stuff is really, really cool. The voice acting wise, incredible. Troy Baker absolutely nailed. I don't even want to call it an impression, but an impression of Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones. Like, if this was recorded 20 years ago as Harrison Ford, like you could never tell the difference. Like the performance was that great. Game's beautiful, runs damn well, near perfect. Like it is a great running game. 60 frames, right? Like
60 frames.
So how is Starfield and all these other games not running?
It's because Bethesda Studios is washed.
But this is Bethesda.
Well,
it's Machine Games, but it was what directed or Todd Howard.
Todd Howard
but yeah, obviously, yeah, different studio, of course. But game just it's incredible. It's good.
But there are 7 other games that are better than this one.
Did I have more? Did I have maybe a better time with you? I think so.
Wow. All right.
Did that one shock you a little bit?
That shocked me big time. My number 8 is Animal Well. This is an indie game where you play. I can't remember what you play as. It's kind of just like this.
Aren't you like a little like
amorphous creature?
Yeah, like a little blob or something, right? Yeah, like a little white, like a little like white blob or something.
But it's a Metroidvania focused on animals, and you're like trying to collect these things. You're going to different quadrants of the map, and there's different like almost like set pieces throughout the game. And after each set piece, you get like almost like everyday items. Like one is a boomerang that you can throw and you can jump on and like go back and forth across the map. No, it's a frisbee that you can jump on and go back and forth across the map. There's a bubble blower where you can blow bubbles and jump on the bubbles. So there's a lot of like cool traversal type stuff that you can string together and use to platform in really cool ways. And that's what hooked me once I had that like small realization of like, hey, I could like throw this frisbee and then jump on it and then use it to jump on another platform.
Yeah, right? Yeah, that was cool.
I can tie it together with another object and use that to jump around. So I spent, this is a an under 10-hour game, but I probably played it for 20 hours trying to unlock all the secrets. And, I got through like the first level of secrets where you get all of the eggs, and then there's like this whole other.
It's a very like meta game.
Yeah,
it's like a lot of stuff within
like ARG stuff
Yeah.
involved that I didn't get into, but I collected all the eggs and had a ton of fun doing it. I mean, I learned that map like the back of my hand while I was playing it. So it was,
Yeah.
I mean, I love Metroidvanias, and this one doesn't have any combat, but it's very fun in how you traverse the world.
Yeah.
So, handle well. Very good.
Yeah, that's one that I know I need to go back and play. And I played it on PlayStation. And I know you probably played it on Switch, right?
Yeah, Switch.
That's probably the best platform to play it on. It was on PlayStation Plus, which is why I tried it. And I really liked it. But I just never, I don't know if it just didn't click with me all the way. I'm not sure why I didn't finish it, but I liked what I played.
Nice.
So it was really good. We'll be on number 7.
Number 7.
This one might hurt you a little bit.
Oh boy.
Just because we're talking about another Crab's Treasure. Number 7. Yeah. You thought it'd be higher?
I thought it'd be higher.
Okay.
It's not on my list.
Okay. I love this game so much. It's kind of like a baby's first Souls game. You play as a little crab or whatever, and there's a whole story. I think all like the microplastics and stuff that are like the souls of the game or like the currency. I think all that stuff is hilarious. I really enjoyed kind of the darker tone it takes, after a while. Mm-hmm. Combat's it's pretty simple. But you can obviously you can like change your shell out to be, pretty much anything that the game offers, anywhere from a soda can to, I don't know, banana peel, and they all have different unique abilities. Some of the abilities are kind of the samey towards the end. But like the whole, and again we talked about Stellar Blade and stuff like that, and Liza P with last year's games, but I really clicked with the counter in this system.
See, I didn't click with that.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
Yeah, I figured. You just have to be like in the shell, and then as soon as you get hit, you release the button, because like the shell is like your the soda can, whatever it is, that is like your block, and then they eventually break over time, depending on what the item is. Like some have really good abilities, but they have terrible, health on the thing. But yeah, I really clicked with, and it really took until I got to the first Bane, like the queen of that first area. And I started to kind of nail down the counter for that.
Yeah. And
after that, it was just kind of smooth sailing. There were some pretty difficult bosses in that game. But yeah, I loved exploring in this game. Yeah.
The exploration was really great.
Yeah.
I did really like this game. I had some frame rate issues.
Yes.
That were
pretty horrendous.
Yeah, pretty horrendous in some parts of the game. There were a couple of like BS bosses. I had a lot of trouble with the last boss in the game.
What was the last boss?
It was I don't want to spoil it, but it's in a different area.
Okay, yeah, I know you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, that one was really tough. And then the guy on the ship.
I think I beat that boss on my first try.
One on the ship?
No, the final boss.
Dude.
And the one on the ship, I think I beat on my first try as well.
I struggled. Maybe I was under level or something, but
maybe.
Yeah, I struggled like really hard. This didn't feel like baby's first Souls game.
So you had like the opposite reaction of like with Liza P that I had.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I like pressing to block or parry, where this is release.
Release, yeah. You have to be in the shell, and then you have to, as you get hit, you have to let it go, and then like the act of removing the shell is the parry.
Yeah, and I think I was playing this at the same time as Stellar Blade, which had the tap to parry.
The tap, yeah, it's pretty different.
So maybe it was kind of the muscle memory was kind of messing me up.
But yeah, I love the art style of the game, and it was kind of like a SpongeBob-esque kind of world, very very silly. But then obviously story wise, it takes a pretty dark turn, which is neat.
Oh yeah, story.
Yeah,
it was pretty dark. It starts off like kind of dark.
It starts off pretty dark. I mean, it's very like, you've got to ante up your share of the ocean, and you're like, well, the queen doesn't provide any protection for me. Why am I giving my taxes or whatever?
It's definitely a commentary.
Yeah, exactly. And then all like the microplastics is the currency. That's just sad but hilarious.
Genius, game idea.
And then just all like the different shells that you can get and all the different costumes, like the Mr. Krabs costume. You can get like a couple of other indie games are in there. Like Among Us, I think, is in there. And something else. There's a bunch of different costumes. I really hoped it would have got DLC. I don't know if it ever will. But
I think it did well.
Yeah, it did pretty well. Like I think it sold a couple million, or at least 1 million.
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah. But yeah, I know like it ran pretty bad on Xbox in some spots, and I know the Switch was pretty terrible.
I'm sure it was.
But yeah, again, and like you said, you didn't call it baby's first Dark Souls, but I would say it's a good recommendation for someone who wants to get it, because there is like a literal mode where your shell is like a gun and you do one shot. So like you can get through the game, and if you get stuck, if you're getting a little frustrated. So they have that implemented into that. But yeah, I loved it. I love this game a lot.
Nice. All right, my number 7 is Dragon's Dogma 2.
Nice.
Yeah. I was kind of bummed when like we were texting about it, and then we were both in the second half. I was having a better time with the second half than you were.
Yeah.
I got that text from you, and you're like, man, I think I'm done with this game. I was like, come on. It was a similar text with Lies of P.
It was
last year.
It was.
I was like, dang, like something must have happened that really pissed him off.
Yeah.
And
it was that area. I hated it.
Yeah. I definitely had a better time with that second area. I did do a lot of exploring in that second half of the game, and I think I found some like really good gear that helped, and I was switching up vocations a lot and leveling those up. So I was having a lot of fun just trying out the different vocations and seeing, what you can do with those. But the first half of this game was truly incredible. I think that experience was similar to something that you would experience with Elden Ring or with something like Skyrim, where you're creating your own stories.
Yeah.
Even if, eventually people end up having the same story as you, like with the ogre falling and creating a bridge.
Yeah, there was a couple of moments where it was like definitely scripted for sure, but still cool. Yeah, still very cool.
Yeah. So there were moments like that, but there were also moments where, Griffin would fly out of nowhere, and then you jump on its back, and it would take you somewhere else, and then you could continue fighting it. So it had a lot of like really scalable moments that could, start small. Like you just start by, fighting a mob of like lower level enemies, and then, something comes in and kind of turns that fight on its head. And I thought the combat itself was pretty fantastic.
Yeah, combat was a lot of fun.
Yeah, the act of like jumping on monsters and attacking them. I know Dragon's Dogma 1 was like that as well, but I feel like this one really improved on that and made it feel a lot more natural and a lot more seamless.
I love that mechanic until I started fighting dragons, and then I kind of hated it.
Yeah, I mean, that last boss fight, or like the final boss, wasn't super great.
Yeah.
Because it does involve a lot of like, oh, you gotta jump on and hang on
for a while, and then
and then I gotta get up to the cannon and shoot cannons at it.
Yep.
So it's I mean that kind of in-game area wasn't super great, but I think as a whole it was a really awesome game.
Yeah.
It had a lot of very cool moments.
Yeah. It was again, that first half was incredible. And again, we were like very, like you said, very, very Elden Ring-esque. With just the pure exploration. But yeah, just as soon as I hit that second area, I was like, and it was cool because there's multiple paths to getting in there. Like you could wear, I think, like one of those masks that allows you in there, but if you didn't have that, there's also a secret way into that. And I was like, man, this is like incredible. And then once you get there, it's like, it's such a chore going through this stuff.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, if anyone,
But I finished it. I liked it.
You had a video on your channel. Hyping it up.
I did, and that was before I hit the second half.
What was the title of the video? Like, is this
like I need to talk about Dragon's Dogma or something like that? And I did. I needed to talk about it, and then I had didn't like it anymore. It's all right. We're number 6.
Yep.
Number 6 is Balatro. This game, I mean, you had played it for a week or two, and you were saying how good it was. And I was like, man, it's just a card game. Like, how good is this? It's just poker. And then I downloaded it, and then I understood how good this game was.
I understood the one more run.
The one more run. And I, to preface it, I'm not a roguelike person at all. There's been a couple of games like Hades. I didn't finish Hades, but I did enjoy Hades. Night Rain's going to be very interesting for me because it's a roguelike game. But there's, every time you do a run, it counts overall towards something. So that I do appreciate. And I feel like most games like that nowadays there's something, to every run kind of matters. Like you've always told me to play Slay the Spire, and I need to, it's the card game. Yeah.
It's always a deal.
Yeah, exactly. And with 2 coming out, like maybe it's never been a better time to jump in. But yeah, Balatro it's a standard poker. If you know how to play poker, you know how to play this. They have the neat little menu where you can like see all the different variants of Full House and stuff like that. If you're not super familiar with that, but then the Joker mechanic of just them creating so many different unique scenarios every single time and having the different bonuses that they do and multipliers and stuff like that. Just seeing like the score go up is incredible.
Satisfying.
Super satisfying. Definitely after I put it on like 2 times speed, so much better.
Yeah, it's a little bit quicker.
Like the one video I put up when I did my first run.
The one that has 250,000 views on TikTok.
Yeah, because people are so mad that it was not nominated for Game of the Year and didn't win, but nominated. It wasn't like it was like in the regular speed. People were like, why are you playing? I was like, bro, this is my first run, dog. Like, I don't know, man. I'm just doing me. And then after that, I obviously increased the speed a little bit, but yeah, this game, what a game. Like such a good Switch game. You played it on mobile, so I can't really speak to that, but yeah, I mean, I probably put like 20 plus hours into a game that I didn't think I would even enjoy that much. And I'll probably play more at some point. It's just there's been so much other stuff to play, but yeah, I mean, just finally getting that first run was a pretty awesome experience.
Oh, yeah. All right, what are we on? Number 6?
Number 6.
Here's this one's gonna hurt.
Okay.
Number 6 is Black Myth Wukong.
Okay, I didn't think it was going to be super super high on your list.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about this ad nauseum, but I think the game kind of falters in the last couple of chapters, especially that last chapter.
Chapter 6.
I must have been having a really bad day.
I really like, yes, it's very empty. I liked it, though. I just liked, because the game is pretty difficult up until that point, and it's still difficult after that point, but it was just a whole chapter of kind of vibing out. So I would just throw in a podcast, fly around, find the few bosses that are there. And yeah, I just kind of, and granted, it's, again, not a lot of bosses. This is probably like visually kind of the weakest part of the game too.
Yeah.
Because it's just,
that in chapter 5.
Yeah, it's just very kind of like copy and paste the trees, amongst the lake. But I still had a really, what was chapter 5 again?
That was the volcano.
The volcano. Yeah. That was a pretty
bland.
Pretty bland. Yeah. That one was probably my least favorite chapter out of all of them.
Yeah. And that one wasn't super long.
No, it wasn't.
Longer than 6.
Yeah, for sure.
It wasn't super long. I should talk about what I like about the game.
Yes.
Immediately jumping into the last few chapters. I think what I really love about this game is the exploration.
Yeah.
And the bosses too. Like, I think the majority of the bosses are really great and not too challenging where it feels insurmountable.
Yeah.
I think there are like a handful of bosses that will take you over 10 tries. Especially the ones near the end of the game.
Yeah.
But I think the difficulty of the bosses scales really well, and it kind of forces you to explore a little bit, and like each chapter has or at least most of the chapters have a special item that you can get by exploring and doing like another quest.
It makes each end of the chapter boss significantly easier.
Yes.
Like some of those bosses, I'm like,
how do you do it?
How do you do it without this special item?
Right.
And it's obviously doable, but still, it's like, man. But it's super rewarding because most of the time you can get to the final boss of the chapter, and then you fight that boss a couple times, and you're like, man, this is really challenging. And then you're like, look it up, and you're like, oh, if you get this item, you do this quest, and all that stuff is. I think everything is. You can go back and do. I don't think anything is necessarily missable, which is really nice.
Mm-hmm.
So you can always go back. I mean, I don't know, after you maybe beat the boss without getting the item. I don't know if you can go back and do that, but yeah, like you said, exploration is pretty damn good.
Pretty spot on, yeah. And the secret boss at the end, that's one of like the coolest.
Yeah,
one of the coolest fights, and that one was extremely challenging, but fair, I thought, and really rewarding to beat. So it had a lot of highs. I think it had a couple of lows, and mainly those lows being chapters 5 and 6. I thought every other chapter was pretty stellar.
Yeah.
Especially chapter 2. I thought that one was like
that one's really good. Yeah, that one was good. That was great.
Yeah, a really, really incredible game. I think it's a bit underrated, and I understand why, because the combat isn't super punchy like something like Stellar Blade is. I think they could have made the contact of you hitting your rod, your spear, your
like staff.
Your staff.
Yeah.
I feel like they could have made that a bit punchier.
It does feel like, because I mean, he hits so fast. Like, it does feel. I mean, you could see the damage going down, but it definitely feels kind of lightweight in a way.
Yeah.
Like you're not hitting hard.
Feel like you're doing much.
Yeah. Not a lot of feedback, I guess.
Yeah, that and the invisible walls at some points were kind of misleading.
Yeah.
But otherwise, really fantastic game.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess we should have prefaced the show with spoilers, but at the end of the final boss fight, which I think you could probably tell by the time you're playing the game, but when he snatches your flask away from you and takes a sip and heals himself a little bit,
that's cool.
Such bullshit, but was absolutely hilarious. And I've never seen something like that in these types of games before.
That was like disrespect similar to the level of God of War Ragnarok.
Yeah.
That was like kind of.
Is that when Thor like kills Kratos or whatever, and then brings him back? Yeah, that very, very similar to that. And like usually, in most Souls games, if you die like mid boss fight or after a different phase, like you just have to restart. There was some very fair, appreciative boss fights where they actually gave you checkpoints.
Yeah, that was much appreciated.
Specifically, I think it was chapter 3's boss when you have to when you get shrunken down, you have to go through the multiple phase with that one. The golden Buddha guy. That was very appreciative, and you could actually leave and come back, and I thought that was also very nice.
And the respecking was very
great.
Generous too. You can completely change your character without any repercussions at all.
Yeah, because I had looked up like the Ring of Fire. I think I told you to try to use that, and I think that helped you out. But I had looked up because I was really struggling on the last boss fight, and most people were saying switch your build up. Prioritize, instead of using the freeze mechanic, do the Ring of Fire. It's going to heal you while you're in the circle. It's going to also double time your stamina as well, so you can then do the big hits.
Yeah.
So that was any game that allows you to respec is for free essentially. Is great. So. But yeah.
Are we in top 5 territory?
We are in top 5. You want to take a little bit of a break?
Yeah. Okay. Quick break.
All right, we will be right back, and we will finish up our top 5. Pulling up the list right now, so we're getting ready to enter our top 5 games of the year. So right now, at number 10, Nick has Mario & Luigi Brothership. I've got MEO, The Smiling Man. Number 9 for Nick, Stellar Blade. Number 9 for me is Call of Duty Black Ops 6. Number 8 is Animal for Nick. Number 8 is Indiana Jones and the Great Circle for myself. 7 is Dragon Dogma 2 for Nick. Mine is Another Crab's Treasure. And number 6 for Nick is Black Myth Wukong. And mine is Balatro. So this top 5 is going to be pretty interesting. I'm pretty excited to see what happens. So we'll leave this up here for maybe we'll do it that way. There we go. Can I move that around? I don't think I can. Maybe I can't move it around. All right, we'll keep it this way for now. There we go. All right, well, let's dive into our top 5. Nick, I started it off. You want to start off,
yes,
or you want to keep it? Okay.
Yeah, I'll start off.
Okay.
My number 5 is Astrobot.
Wow. Okay.
Is that a shocker of how low it is, or
I thought it would be a little higher for you, to be honest.
A little higher. Wow. Okay.
But it's on your top 5, so that's good.
I had such an incredible time with this game.
Yeah.
Maybe it should be higher.
It was the best game I played all year. Wait.
It was the only game. It was the only PlayStation game that I platinumed this year. And granted, it wasn't a very hard platinum to do.
No. But it's still like I think a testament of like how good this game was. Like
I wanted to play through all of the content. I wanted to play all of the things that this game has to offer. And the more I talk about it, the higher it should be.
Oh gosh.
Maybe we'll reevaluate after the end of this show.
It's gonna be one game next year when we look back on our 2024 games. Like, maybe Velocity should have been a little higher.
You say Velocity?
I mean, not Velocity. Astrobot.
Well, before you slip there.
Baby. Sorry.
Okay. The reason it's lower on my list, I think the levels are great. They don't harp on one environment for too long.
Yeah.
I will say the platforming itself leaves a little bit to be desired. It's not up to that Mario quality. I think the platforming itself is a little bit boring in terms of the moveset. The levels are great.
Yeah.
But the character, it's a boring character.
Pretty boring, yeah.
And the moveset at your disposal isn't as in-depth as you would find in a platformer like Mario, which, I mean, I'll say Mario Odyssey has one of the best.
It's probably the best 3D platformer ever made. And for that game to be a 2017 game, is, I guess, just, a testament of how good Nintendo is at making Mario games and in 3D platformers. And a lot of people were like, this is PlayStation's Mario. Like, maybe. But in terms of movement, it's not even close. Like, Mario is just so many leagues beyond the platforming wise, but still good.
My other thing that brings down the game a little bit is, what is Astrobot without the catalog of PlayStation games?
Exactly. Like that's kind of what carries. I mean, some of the levels that don't have, that aren't themed around like, the top PlayStation franchise, I think are very good levels, but if you were to strip away the bots you're saving, they're like, oh, this is really cool that, the hunter from Bloodborne's in here. Like that's so cool. You take that stuff away. What is Astrobot's identity really? Yeah,
you take away those themed levels, which are standouts. Like the God of War level is
fun.
Level.
Yeah.
Not saying that there aren't like the non-IP levels that stand out, because I still think the shrinking one is one of the best.
Oh levels. That's so cool.
That one I think should have been reused a little bit.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the question of where is this game without its IP, without PlayStation's IP?
Yeah. I'll talk about there's some stuff that you haven't experienced in this game that I'll talk about here.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
That kind of catapulted up for me a little bit.
Okay.
But the game's incredible. Okay. Like music wise is awesome. Yeah, I mean, and it's kind of a shame because I know this game only sold 1.5 million at the last time that they did a sales count or whatever. I'm sure it sold a little bit more since it's been game of the year. But so it's like, PlayStation, again, not to be fanboyish or like console war-ish, but like PlayStation people are very adamant about their exclusives. And you have one of the best exclusive, really one of the only like first party exclusives that comes out this year. And it's like, where are these people at? You know what I mean? Like, why didn't it sell more when the PS5 sold 60 plus?
It's because they want a specific type of, but they want the third person adventure game.
I mean, I get what they want, but still got to support like some of the. I mean, it's one of the best games of the year.
I just hope this is someone's first platformer that they're gonna be nostalgic for.
Yeah.
20 years from now, just like you played Super Mario Brothers.
Yep.
64. I played that on the DS. I'm very nostalgic for that one.
Yep.
So hopefully, like this game is that for somebody, and that's really cool. I think platformers are for every age.
Yeah.
They have the depth for people our age, and they have the kind of like ease of jumping into for someone that's a little bit younger. So.
Yeah, and it's not a super challenging game either. I mean, there was a couple of levels, like a couple of the fire levels that I came across. I'm like, it's a little frustrating. But yeah, it's a really good game.
Yeah. All right, what's your number 5?
My number 5 is Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown.
Wow. That's a little bit lower than I thought it would be.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. This game is one of the best. I mean, we love Metroidvania games. This is one of the best. I think this is on like I'm trying to like internally think like, do I like this more than Metroid Dread, or do I like Metroid Dread more because it's Metroid and Metroid universe is so freaking cool? And I probably still like Metroid more. But what I think this adds to the Metroidvania games in general is like the combat is excellent. Like it's probably the best Metroidvania combat I've ever played.
Yeah.
Hollow Knight's pretty up there. Like I really do enjoy that combat system, but this is pretty awesome. Like all the anime-esque fights you get in this game is pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Traversal wise, I mean, it's kind of your
you have the dash.
You have your dash, your double jump. You have like the whip kind of thing you can do.
But then you have the time move.
The time move is very cool, and it's very cool in fighting like that. Like you have to use that in a lot of these boss fights, and the boss fights are pretty challenging, as most Metroidvania games are.
Oh, yeah, it's a hard game.
Yeah, it's pretty difficult. Yeah, I struggled on a few of those bosses, especially like the named or like the main, like your friends or whatever that you come across. And then kind of like with every Metroidvania game, like all the map is awesome. Like everything kind of weaves in together. They did do an update where you can actually fast travel between every whack tree now, which you couldn't do before. There was only certain fast travel points, so that going to the game fresh, it's just going to be a lot better because you don't have to, spend a whole lot of time backtracking and finding a fast travel point. But the biggest thing I think this game does is the screenshot system. I can't remember what it's called, but when you come across an area that you can't traverse because you don't have a certain ability or, whatever the case is, or a key, whatever, you could take a screenshot of it. Well, not screenshot, but you can like pinpoint it on your map, and then it does a screenshot of it. And then you can come back to it and look and be like, oh, now I have that ability. Now I can go back. I think that's the first time that's ever been done in a Metroidvania game before. And I think that is a very unique gameplay mechanic that is much appreciated. But yeah, this game
it hits on all fronts.
Yeah, it really does. Yeah, it's one of the best Ubisoft products in a very long time. It's a shame that studio did get shut down, but they got moved on to other projects because I don't think this game sold super well. I still have to play the DLC. I played a little bit of it, so I still gotta go back and finish that. But after going back and looking at how the fast travel stuff was redone, I was like, yeah, this game is pretty flawless.
It's made with so much intention, and I think the like the platforming and the traversal is such a standout. Like there are like those kind of platforming rooms, like those challenge rooms.
Yeah, those are awesome.
Those are super hard, but they're really fun.
The is it like the Xerxes coins thing? I think that's what this platform. Yeah. So it's like Hollow Knight. I didn't 100% that game because it had some really, really difficult and frustrating platform challenges that, like, with all the spinning buzzsaws and stuff. I was like, yeah, I'm never doing this.
Right.
With this game, like, it was challenging, but it was doable.
You could see the light.
Yeah, you could see how it could be done. And yeah, just like the freeze mechanic. Yeah, all that stuff was so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's your number 5?
Number 5.
All right. My number 4 is Balatro.
Balatro, okay.
The ultimate poker card game. I mean, we talked about it earlier. But
yeah.
I was just so deep in this game for a few weeks and had so much fun getting that first win, and then that opening up a bunch of different decks that you can play with.
Yeah.
And it kind of starts you off in a different way. Like, oh, maybe you're playing with two suits, and you can kind of focus on getting, was it flushes, or when you have cards in the same suit?
Yeah. Royal flush. Yeah.
So you can like build like a flush heavy deck as you go through the levels of antes, and then like Harrison was saying, the poker or the Joker system where you can like stack Jokers, where you can get, okay, I'm gonna get plus 10 molt on hearts, and then you get like ×3 multiplier. And then you get another like,
and you have to pay attention where you put them on like the little,
because the placement matters.
Yeah, the placement definitely matters. So it's like if you put the multiplier first, then it's only going to multiply to up until that point of the Joker system. But then you might have another Joker that adds how many more points to it. But then it's like, okay, then you missed out on that if you put the multiplier at the very end.
Yeah.
So it's very easy to forget to do that. And when you do that, that happened to me a couple times. I'm like, damn, like I should. And then you fix it the next run. But if you miss it, then it can definitely screw you up.
It's one of those things where you could be getting like 10,000 point hands, and then you just change the positioning of your Jokers, and you go from 10,000 point hand to a 100,000 point hand because of how multiplication works. I mean, it just scales so much. So like, when you and I both started off with the game, we were probably getting 5,000, 10,000 point hands, and then you end up with 100,000 points. And it's a really cool game. It's really accessible. You don't need to know anything about poker to play it. And I totally support this game winning as many awards as it did at the Game Awards, because it's truly fantastic.
Yeah, and we didn't talk about like the glass cards and like the stone cards and how like those kind of matter. Like, I think the glass cards give you more points, but then they break after like a use or two. They break completely, so you can't. Yeah,
I ordered the deck of cards, like the Bellagio deck of cards.
I think I put it. I have the game, the physical, which came with the cards.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Do you want to look at it?
I do want to look at it.
But yeah, I did. I think I pre-ordered it. I'm pretty sure I did.
And then they're also like adding like cosmetic DLC that kind of links up with other indie games as well. Well, and like The Witcher.
Yeah, The Witcher's in there. I think they have like a bunch of different stuff.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. Yeah. This game is just one of those like indie darlings that I feel like anybody can kind of pick up and play. And like even my son, he just turned 7 when that game came out, and he loved it. Yeah. Like he couldn't quite understand like the Joker mechanic, but I mean he loved playing him. He could get almost to the first couple of antes, so yeah, he had a pretty good time with it. Nick, what was your number 5?
Astrobot.
Okay.
Yeah, this is a game that my wife loved watching me play.
Yeah.
When I was just laying in bed playing, because it's one where you can, I mean, it's poker, right? You can kind of follow along pretty easily if you're privy to that kind of game. But yeah, it's one where it's just satisfying to watch. Like I feel like the sound effects and everything are just very.
Yeah.
It's like a casino, right?
Yeah.
It's meant to make you want to play more. And
I think it's so funny, like how much like kind of struggle the developers had with like I think some of the European rating system where they said it's like 18 plus because it's like gambling, but it's like there's no gambling in the game. There's no microtransactions. In a world where gambling is forced upon everybody at this point.
Yeah.
Like every time you turn on the TV, especially if it's a sports channel, you're going to get hit with 18,000 sports sites. So it's like, all right, it's like, come on.
Really 18 plus.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
My number 4, this may surprise you a little bit, but Black Myth Wukong.
What the hell? Did you play Secret Games? Like, what is going on?
I mean, we just talked to death about Black Myth, but yeah, I love this game a lot. I mean, what else can I say about it? I mean, I feel like I get a little bit of a shock here.
This list is blowing my mind right now.
Yeah, I thought this game was incredible. I love the exploration. While it wasn't as like in depth as I was like an Elden Ring or something like that. I mean, I thought the combat was a lot of fun. I mean, you talked about how like the combat itself, like the impact of like the staff was a little bit light. I didn't really like. I get what you're saying, but it didn't really bother me. I like I enjoyed all the like the boss fights, especially when you get to chapter 2. That's really where it kind of takes off. But yeah, I mean, I loved all the secret side quests you could do in the game. You know, I love chapter 6, which was the most open area, but it was the most area with like nothing to do. But I just kind of, after like going through the first 5 chapters and really struggling, and that chapter 5 boss was pretty challenging. So after getting to that, and that first boss you do in chapter 6, like when it's like the winged guy, whatever, he was really hard too.
I didn't struggle with him that much. I think that took me 1 or 2 tries.
I think it took like 5 or 6. I mean, I didn't really struggle, but I definitely died a few times. Yeah. But again, I think once I used a special ability or special item, like it kind of negated one of his attacks. I think it was like the needle one.
Oh, the needle. Oh yeah, kind of.
It was either the needle one or the one like where
the
wind tamer, I think. So I did think that was cool too. Whereas like some of the special items you get like early on in the game can impact certain bosses in the later half, or the latter half, which I think was really cool. But like the game doesn't tell you that. Very much like a Dark Souls game. It's just like you have to kind of experiment.
You gotta look it up.
Yeah, exactly.
To some degree.
But yeah, I love this game a lot.
Hell yeah. Number 4. I'm racking my brain trying to think of what your top 3.
Okay.
All right, my number 3 is Prince of Persia: Lost Crown.
Hell yeah.
You know, it's hard having a January game and remembering it throughout the entire year, but I made a point to remember how much I loved this game.
Yeah.
We talked about it already, but it's such a standout in the Metroidvania genre, and I know there's a lot of Metroidvania games, but this one hits on all fronts, right? The combat is exceptional.
Yep.
Really great combat. It's really frenetic. The moveset is just really fun. The bow and arrow is really great.
Yeah.
It's always fun in games. The movement is awesome. The map is awesome. When we played it, like, the fact that you can only fast travel from those points was a little bit frustrating, but hearing that they added like fast travel to the Black trees, which was the save points previously.
Yeah,
I guess it still is.
Save points and like the bonfire-esque kind of thing for Souls fans. Like that's where you level up and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Or where you? I don't think you level up there. I think you can attach your amulets there, and then you level up at like that one person.
In like your home base.
In like the home base, like yeah. Okay.
The only knock I'll give it, and this is just because I played it on the Switch, but the loading times were a little bit slow.
Yeah.
Going from like fast traveling around. But I mean, aside from that, like I feel like the game was really well paced. I don't think it overstayed its welcome at all.
Mm-mm.
The bosses were challenging, but not overly difficult. They were, they were surmountable.
And that one area, like the pirate ship level, or like the area where like everything is frozen in time, so like you're jumping on like the barrels and like the destroyed ship was cool. A really cool environment.
A lot of like really, really, really cool level design.
Yeah,
and just great mechanics with the time stuff and how that worked into puzzles. God, what a great game.
Yeah,
loved it.
Game was great.
Yeah.
I don't know if we'll ever get a sequel. Probably not.
Probably not.
Yeah, it was damn good. My number 3 is Astrobot.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, this is about where I expected it on your list.
Okay. I love this game. I mean, we talked to death about it already, but this game is fantastic. You know, again, I still think Mario platforming wise is better from Odyssey. And again, we talked about how like what would this game be without the kind of nods to all the PlayStation franchise, but that is, I guess, what the game is. It is a celebration of PlayStation. And if PlayStation won't give us Bloodborne, damn it, it's going to put something in there with Bloodborne related. We didn't get a Bloodborne level, which I was like, come on, like let's get something a little bit more than just a bot. But
yeah.
So what I was talking to before, all the speedrun levels, are
See, I haven't played those. Yeah,
a lot of fun. And if you're looking for a little bit more of a challenge and a more of a fast-paced approach to the game, that's definitely there for you, because there's 2 bots you can get in each level, and there's a blue bird and a red bird, and they're racing you. So the blue bird is a lot slower, so you can probably get that in your first couple tries.
Yeah.
The red bird is pretty quick, so you really have to like get the pace going, and each one gives you a bot.
See, that's pretty cool.
So definitely recommend going back and doing that for sure. And then they added a whole Christmas level.
You've played that too?
Yeah, I have. It's a whole like Christmas theme level. You get like a Santa suit and stuff like that. There's a whole bunch of different bots that you can get. There's a whole bunch of different skins you can get for your for the controller, because like the controller in the game, for people to know, is like your PlayStation 5 controller is like your ship. And it reuses all of the mechanics in the game. So like the little mini, like the tiny version, the shrink down version, it uses that at one part of the level.
Cool.
You've got like the stone ball that you get, like the spiky ball. That's part, like everything is reused again in some ways to get these bots. So it's a really cool, like, big kind of hub based off Christmas. There's a big old Christmas tree.
Original bots in there? Or sorry, not original. Are there IP related bots?
Yeah, there's like some Helldivers bots and
cool.
some other stuff.
Nice.
So yeah, it's really cool. You need to go back and you could probably knock everything out in an hour.
Okay.
So
see, yeah, and
that also reminded me of like, okay, this game was really, really good.
Yeah. And that's a good part about DLC is often it reminds you of how good the base game was.
Yeah. And
for like a lot of these games on my list, I don't know which ones are lower down. I can't see. Wait. Like Stellar Blade, like if I would have gone back to that one, maybe it would have been a little bit higher.
Yeah, that was earlier this year too, right? That was like what?
Yeah, so like
April? That came
April,
out?
so like recency bias can play a factor, but
yeah.
I tried to take that out as much as I could. But I should have gone back to some of these games, but here we are, man. Here we are.
It's hard. Yeah, it's hard to go back to games sometimes. And you're right. Like if there's DLC added in, and then you get reminded of like, man, this game actually was really fucking good. Yeah,
top 5.
Yeah, and like I'm not, with Stellar Blade, like I'm not the ultimate gooner, so like I didn't play the Nier stuff, and it was like $10 for like some costumes. Like I'm not.
And a side quest or something like that, right?
Maybe. Yeah, some sort of mission to get like outfit. So it's like nothing story really.
Yeah, you say you're not a gooner, but where's it on your list?
Maybe it's not on my list.
Maybe it's not.
You never know. What's your number 2?
You did your number 3. Okay.
Yep.
My number 2 is Silent Hill 2.
Wow. Okay.
Which I'm assuming is somewhere on your list as well.
Maybe not. I don't know.
I never played the original Silent Hill 2, so I can't speak to what the original game did, but the remake absolutely hit.
Yeah.
I mean, we love survival horror. This one was visceral. This one was tense throughout the entire game. You don't get overpowered.
No, never.
You stay looking for bullets, and I think that's a really good change up from something like Resident Evil, where you're overpowered in the back half, or you're overpowered within
like 30 minutes. Like it's like Leon's fucking deflecting grenades and knives and stuff, chainsaws. Like deflecting a knife, like a chainsaw with a knife, is pretty ridiculous, but still awesome.
The story of this game is absolutely incredible. The fact that there are so many endings and so many things can affect which ending you get that you don't even know about until after you finish the game. Like how long you stayed in the red health wise, like how many enemies you killed, how many.
Game doesn't tell you that, by the way. It's just you just play it, but it's very cool. It's like whatever your play style was, that is the ending you're gonna get, and it's like you don't know until.
I must have played like a depressed man. Because
like looking at like once you get the knife from
not Maria, not Mary, but
oh gosh, what was her name?
I think it was something with B.
Beth? Beck? No. I don't know. Anyways, like if you like look at the knife in your inventory, like that adds to like the part of the bad ending, because like it's like, okay, James is maybe thinking about killing himself. Like such a deep game that
Yeah,
Man.
like how many times you check in on Maria, or how many times you look at pictures of your wife.
Yeah, which I didn't look at Mary's picture once. I didn't. But I only checked on Maria once, I think, after like you come across her in the cell.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, I didn't know.
It's a freaking incredible game.
Yeah.
The only thing that kept it from the number one spot is the labyrinth wasn't like my favorite level.
Yeah, that one was a little
bit weaker.
Yeah.
As well as, I mean, I kind of put that together with the prison section. I kind of lumped those together, but those two were my favorite sections. I don't think they were too long by any means, but I mean, this is a 15-hour game, and that was probably 2 or 3 hours of it. So
yeah,
it pushed it down just a little bit. But
yeah.
Otherwise, God, I want to go back and play through this game again with the chainsaw.
Yeah, I've started. I got into the apartments, and the chainsaw is a lot of fun. Like it's
just ripping.
You're just. I mean, it's like the scary movie where the chainsaw. Yeah. Oh, it's so much fun. It's so fun.
All right, what's your number 2?
My number 2, Stellar Blade.
Wow. the good man himself.
Yeah, I mean,
really.
Yeah, jokes aside, I love the combat in this game. I thought it was so much fun. And
the outfits are really good.
Yeah, I mean, the outfits, I mean, just really like, I lied. I actually did pay for the deals. No, I'm just kidding. No, I loved, I mean, the game starts off pretty linear. And then once you get to like the main city, then it kind of opens up with kind of those open zone areas. The music is so damn good in this game.
I didn't mention the music.
Yeah, the music is really kind of what carried, because like, I mean, the exploration is fun, and like there's a bunch of monsters you can fight. Atiba, I think they're what they're called.
Atiba, yeah.
Pretty fun. Like you come across a bunch of random like kind of bosses like you do in like any other like Souls-like game. A lot of them kind of seem like they're kind of repeated. But the combat is just so much fun with the like the perfect dodging and the reflecting. Story-wise, not great. It's you kind of see the ending coming.
Yeah, I thought it was fun. Like the story was fun enough.
Yeah. I wasn't blown away by the story any means, but I did all the side missions that I could. Again, the combat, just kind of the exploration in the open zone, and then just the music. Just
music slaps.
Yeah, music is so good. Yeah.
I was listening to that soundtrack the other day.
Yeah. I mean, this was like the first game other than like Spider-Man 2. Like this is like the first. This is kind of the reason why I bought a PS5 was for Stellar Blade. Not necessarily for it, but like it came out right around the time that I got it. So I was like, this is like the first PS5 experience that I had, and
Do you think that elevated it too? Not that like you hadn't seen next gen because you haven't seen.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of like gameplay wise, it doesn't do anything super revolutionary, but I don't know. The goon sessions were too good.
Down here in your basement.
Down in the basement.
Lights off.
But no, I thought this game was, I loved it a lot. It was between, I mean, like I was, when I was in the peak of Black Myth for me, I was like, yeah, this is probably my game of the year. And then like after I beat it, and I kind of was thinking about it, and then like I was like, man, Stellar Blade. And the combat I thought was more fun, I think.
I would totally agree. The combat's more fun.
But yeah.
Yeah, because you played Black Myth, and then Astrobot came out.
After that.
And then you reflected on Stellar Blade. And then another game came out. Presumably is your number one.
We'll see. All right, Nick, what is your number one game of the year?
Here is Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. I swear it's not recency bias. It was really great.
It's really great.
Man, what can I say? Every level of this.
And to preface, you've never seen Indiana Jones movie at all, right?
No, just the one with Shia LaBeouf.
Which is the worst one.
Is the most recent one worse than that one? Or is that one like kind of understood as the worst one?
I have to go back and watch it, but it's...
What is it? The Circle of Destiny? The
Dial of Destiny, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's either between that one or the newest one. Okay. But I enjoyed the newest one. I think more than I did the Shia LaBeouf one, but I haven't seen that one in so long. But there's some really weird scenes with like the monkey swinging. It was very dumb, but in Dial of Destiny. Yeah.
Yeah, so
it's pretty goofy. But
someone who hasn't watched really any of the movies, I loved the character. I loved what's his face's interpretation of Indiana Jones.
Troy Baker,
yeah, his interpretation of Indiana Jones. I thought the combat in just like the first person was so fun.
Yeah,
the exploration was really cool. I loved like the platforming stuff. I thought that was like really well done.
Yeah,
the transition between first person and third person. The exploration was rewarding with you getting adventure points and then kind of like upgrading your character by finding these books that you get stronger punches, or your stamina bar increases, or you get like some sort of like whip upgrade something.
Yeah, you can like whip like the bigger enemies and stuff like that.
And then just the hijinks that you can kind of get into in this game and like create your own fun where you can walk into a camp and
punch your way out, literally.
Like you can line up a row of dudes on the ground just punching your way through these guys. Or you can go in silently. I didn't do that much. By the end, I was using guns a lot. I was picking up anything I could find.
Yeah.
I was shooting, and then I switched, like flipped it the other way, and then I started beating people with it.
Because the game doesn't punish you, whatever option you choose. Like you can choose to literally sneak in everywhere, and like again, we talked about it before, but like the AI is pretty stupid. Like, huh? Like, and then they'll just kind of like.
And I think that's to the game's benefit. If the AI was too good, and
you wouldn't be able to sneak anywhere.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to sneak. And it would kind of like force you down a path.
Yeah.
Whereas just the balance was pretty perfectly done.
Yeah, and again, we talked about before on the podcast, but as someone who's seen the movies, again, I don't think it was intentional for the developers to do this, but like it works in kind of the universe of the movies because like the Nazis are pretty stupid. Like, there's so many times again where Indy and friends are jumping in like the last second into a car to sneak off or onto a plane or whatever the case is, and like there's no way as a human being you don't notice somebody running behind you jumping, like there's just no way. So it works in the grand scheme of like the universe of Indiana Jones, but I also don't think that was intentional. I think the AI is just kind of dumb, but it's fun. It's just fun. It's fun. Like it's fun. Like
I mean that's like the factor that stood out the most to me is like each moment in this game was fun. I think I don't think there was a bad level in this game. There was the 3 open zone levels that were all great, all very different. I mean, they had like similar kind of goals to accomplish.
And I think that's why it brought me down because every area was exactly the same. Like not
like go find the medicine.
Go find the medicine. Go find the artifacts that are there. Go do. The side quests were a little bit different, but they ultimately were kind of the same. And it's like, okay, you're going to get an artifact at the end of it.
That's fair.
So it was pretty checklisty, much like kind of Assassin's Creed games. But I like that stuff. But once I got to like the is it Vietnam? Is that
Thailand?
Thailand. Okay. Yeah. Once I got to that area, I was like, okay, this is really cool, and like I like being in the boat. Like I think that's pretty unique in terms of this game. But it's still the same. You're still doing like the underground fighting, which is all the 3 people you fight at the same time. Like it's all kind of the same thing, but it's fun. It's just fun. Like, it's still fun at the end of the day.
It's really fun. And I didn't do the underground fighting ring in the 3rd area. And maybe that's why it's higher for me because like I didn't, because you did everything in Egypt.
Yeah, I did. I 100% in Egypt. I couldn't 100% the Vatican, and once I realized that quest was locked, I was like, well, I'm not going to do everything in Thailand because it's pointless. Yeah. But I really wanted to do it, and maybe if I was able to do it, I would like it more. But like, I love games like this. I just said that the checklist part it brought me down, but like I still like that stuff. But
it's so fun to do.
But it is very, very samey.
Yeah. And I didn't do 100% of any area.
Okay.
I did the majority of the Vatican. I did the majority of Egypt as well. And then Thailand, I probably did like 50%. So maybe like I didn't get burned out on that kind of stuff, and that's what brought it up for me.
Yeah.
Because I can see like if you were to engage with all the content in the game,
and it's weird. It's weird because like I didn't get burned out because I was gonna do it. Like I was like,
that's true.
Yeah, I was gonna do it.
The bug.
Yeah, I think that's really what brought me down a lot.
See, and I didn't experience that. I didn't experience really any issues.
Yeah.
Just the AI being funny.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's just funny.
And that brought it up for me. Like, some people are like, oh, it ruins the immersion. Well, you know what? Nazis are stupid. So
yeah, like
who cares?
Who cares? But yeah, excellent game. Surprised to see it would be your number one. I thought something else was going to be your number one.
What did you think was going to be number one?
What do we got? I guess it's right here. I don't know. I thought maybe like Blatro maybe would be your number one.
Maybe Blatro.
Or
do you think Silent Hill 2?
I was gonna say either Blatro or maybe Silent Hill 2.
Yeah. Silent Hill 2. Well, yeah, sorry.
Speaking of Silent Hill 2, that is my number one game. Jeez. Yeah, this is the best survival horror game I've ever played.
Wow. You think it's above RE4 remake?
Yeah, Dead Space remake was probably my number one up until that point, just because I thought what, oh gosh, what's the studio? I know it changed.
Motive.
Yeah, Motive. What they did with that game, like, and they remade it, but they redid like the Inimirsa, whatever the ship's name is.
Yeah.
They completely redid it where you could actually walk along the entire ship instead of having to use the tram system, which was completely different in the original Dead Space. So you had to use, it wasn't like a cohesive, map in a way. But so that was probably my number. And RE4 is excellent. RE2 remake is excellent. But yeah, I was blown away by this game. Like, when I finished this game, I was thinking about this game like nonstop. I was to the point where like my TikTok was full of Silent Hill stuff, like theories and all the different endings and stuff. We had talked about like, did you kill the enemies after you beat the game? Did you kill the enemies that are just kind of laying there? And we're like, well, why are they just laying there? But the enemies are a representation of James's like psyche and like why he's so upset. And dealing with the trauma of killing Maria. Yeah, exactly. And then once you finish the game and they're just laying there, there's nothing for like there. He's I guess depending on the ending, I don't know how it works in every single ending, but he's kind of overcame that trauma. So there's no reason for these enemies to attack him anymore because he doesn't feel the regret he did.
But you,
I did kill them, but I didn't. But again, like that's just how this game is. Like you just
and started blasting.
Anyway, because you don't. I mean, you just don't know what they're gonna do, because there's been so many times, especially with like the mannequins where you'll walk into a room and you're like, oh, I'm gonna bash this glass chest and get the get the ammo or health or whatever, and then you turn to your right and there's a mannequin just standing there like that, and then as soon as your camera goes on, then it attacks you. Like, and like there's the whole mechanic of the controller where like the radio mechanic where when you're near an enemy, it will make the sound, and then like I never really understood what the bugs did other than maybe they were just a distraction to like maybe think that there was an enemy around. But with the mannequins, especially like until they're triggered by their camera, until you actually see them in the game, they don't make a sound, which is pretty scary. And like, we talked about like never ever feeling overpowered. And just like the entire game is so tense.
Yeah.
Like I really couldn't, I could only play the game maybe a couple hours a night because it was so tense, and it was like an experience.
It was
to sit down and play it. Like, it was a fun experience, but it wasn't always a happy experience because it was so tense all the time. Yeah, I mean, and like the map was great. Like just, James, like when you pick up like an item or a photo or a key, like he'll mark it on the map, like you could see it doing it in real time. Whenever he walks into a door and it doesn't open, it'll put like an X, or like, if it can be opened, it'll put like a little red line underneath it to indicate that, you can open it with some sort of item, key, whatever the case is. Yeah, and this came from Bloober Team, which nobody thought.
Creators of the medium.
Yeah, nobody thought this game was going to be. I mean, they've made some. I enjoyed the medium, but they made the Layers of Fear game, which I think people enjoy, but they just weren't.
They weren't anything like, they weren't too exceptional.
Yeah, so like when Konami announced that Bloober Team was making it, everybody, including us, were like, "Oh man, this game is going to be buns," and
them doing combat, no, thank you. Man.
Yeah, exactly. Because the medium didn't have any combat, but I think they took what they learned from the medium, and then they just kind of implemented it to Silent Hill 2, and then just got the combat right. It's not like anything super in depth, but it's there enough to where, again, like no encounter feels like you're always going to win, because you don't know, okay, there's a mannequin here that's going to attack me, but if I move up a couple steps, there may be another one right there. So it's like you're just always on your toes, even in spots where you don't think there's anything possible that could come out. You're still on your, and usually, 9 times out of 10, there's nothing that's going to happen, but you're still so tense. Yeah. This game just absolutely blew me away.
They killed it with this game.
Yeah.
I can't remember. Were there weapon upgrades?
There's no weapon upgrades.
No weapon upgrades. Just new weapons that you could get.
Yeah. So there was the pistol, the shotgun, and the rifle. Is that it? It was just 3 weapons, right?
Yeah, I think that was it, because there weren't any automatic weapons.
No,
that I can think of. So it kept it pretty bare bones in a really great way. Because if you were able to upgrade your weapons, that would lead to you being overpowered and less fearful of the enemies. But earlier I said that one of my least favorite areas was the prison, but that area was tense, man.
Yeah, the music, like. Again, I feel like this game got very much snubbed in terms of like audio design.
Yeah.
What one? I think Astrobot one.
Hellblade one audio design.
Hellblade. Okay, so I mean, that's, I guess, not snubbed is not the right word, but that when we're talking about Hellblade, but again, just like especially that level, like very every once in a while there would be this kind of harrowing music that would come out of nowhere, and you would think the music implies that something big is coming, and nothing ever comes out of it.
Yeah.
But it's still like, just every time that happened, if I was near like a jail cell, I'd always go into it, turn around, pull out my shotgun, and just kind of stand there, because I just didn't know.
Yeah.
And then after it happened like the 5th or 6th time, I was like, okay, maybe nothing's actually gonna happen. It's just messing. But that's like, man.
Did you look into the lore of all the different enemies, like what they represented? If not, you should.
Yeah, I no, I have not, because I need to.
I don't know if you noticed, but like all the enemies are women.
Yeah.
And that each one like means something else. So anyone watching who's interested in this game, like I would look into it. Like it's really cool stuff. Like what they did with the enemy designs and what they did with, kind of that story in general was so great.
Yeah. And there's not a ton of like different enemy types either. I mean, there's 4 or 5, 6, maybe including boss fights.
But they utilize them in really interesting ways.
Yeah.
And they kind of like, some of them evolve throughout the game.
Yeah, they do. Because like you start out with like the ones that are kind of like in the
body bags.
Yeah, in the body bags, and then they eventually will spit acid at you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you never seen the movies, right? Or like the first one?
No,
I haven't seen the second one. Yeah.
I heard it was good.
Yeah, I haven't seen the second one, but the first one's really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's one of the best game adaptations. It's pretty good.
I do think Pyramid Head was a little bit underwhelming.
Yeah,
But that's just based off of all the hype I've seen on
the 20 years of hype of like this is like the ultimate like scary villain or whatever, and yeah, like once like but I also missed the time where he was just kind of staring at you through the bars. I didn't see that part.
Oh, hopefully you see it.
Yeah,
this time around because you're in the apartments right now.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So I missed that, but yeah, whenever you kind of encounter him, like with the mannequins, like it's pretty, yeah, it's pretty tense, and then that's when you kind of jump into the other world, I guess, for the first time, which is very intense as well. So,
God,
this game is
it plays with your anticipation.
Yeah,
in really cool ways. Wow. So I think this is one of the first times where my number one has been so low on your list.
Yeah.
Because thinking back to last year, we both had Tears of the Kingdom.
Yep.
2022, we both had Elden Ring. 2021, I think we both had Metroid Dread.
Metroid Dread, yep.
2020, you had...
I had Assassin's Creed. I think, I don't know. You had Last of Us 2.
Or did you have Ori? Or no, Ori was both for number 3.
Yeah, number 3. I had Assassin's Creed.
And I had Last of Us 2.
You had Last of Us 2.
They were pretty close to each other.
Pretty close, yeah.
And in 2019, did we agree on Sekiro?
We did, yeah. Which I hadn't beaten at the time. But I think I had played enough where I was like, yeah, this is really good. And then I got stuck on that boss, and I was like, yeah, I'm never going to beat this game.
Yeah. So I would say this list, like these lists are...
This is a pretty different. And I had a feeling that they would when I was making my list. I was like, I don't think Another Crab's Treasure is going to be in his.
And it was obviously not going to be on mine.
Yeah.
I played it.
I thought Call of Duty for sure would be on yours, but
it was at some point.
Yeah. But yeah, the number one to that's a pretty big difference I think we've ever had.
This will be an interesting one to look back on.
Yeah.
Because I know I said it's not recency bias with Indiana Jones, but am I going to look back on this game in 5 months and say, hey, maybe I should have put Prince of Persia above it? I don't know. I don't think I will, but man, Indiana Jones is great.
It was really, really good. And I really think it would have been much higher if I just didn't get that bug.
Yeah.
Like, because I'd had it, like, I mean, let's see. Well, I actually had Hellblade on there for a second, but yeah, I guess Indiana Jones is kind of always there, but
always a little lower.
Yeah, always a little bit. But yeah, I think if I didn't have that bug and I was actually able to do everything that I wanted to do, again, I mentioned the checklist stuff, but I like doing that stuff. It probably would have been at least over Balatro. I don't know if it would have gotten as high as Prince of Persia, but yeah, it would have been at least number 6. But for the audio listeners, we'll go back over them real quick. So we've got for Nick at number 10, Mario and Luigi Brothership. I have Emio. At number 9, it's Stellar Blade. I have Call of Duty Black Ops 6. Nick, number 8, has Animal Well. I have Indiana Jones. Number 7 for Nick is Dragon Dogma 2. For myself, it's another Crab's Treasure. Number 6 for Nick is Black Myth Wukong. Number 6 for me is Balatro. Number 5 for Nick is Astrobot. For myself, it is Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown. Number 4 is Balatro for Nick. Number 4 for me is Black Myth Wukong. Number 3 is Prince of Persia for Nick and The Lost Crown. Number 3 is Astrobot for myself. Number 2 for Nick is Silent Hill 2. Number 2 for me is Stellar Blade. And number 1, Game of the Year 2024 for Nick is Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. And mine is Silent Hill 2 Remake. There was nothing, we didn't have the same point in it as well. Like, there was no game that ever matched up.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's maybe a first.
Wow.
Wow.
I will say, this was kind of a weird year. There wasn't an obvious standout game like there has been in previous years.
Yeah.
I don't want to say that 2024 was weaker than other years, but, 2023 had a lot of bangers where our top 5 was pretty similar.
I mean, 2023 has been kind of argued like it's one of the best years ever for gaming.
Yeah.
Like 2007 level good, and maybe one of the
2017 was great.
Yeah, 2017. Yeah, with Zelda as well. So yeah, 2023 was like one of those like top tier years for gaming. So that's understandable. But I mean, just looking at the list, I mean, good stuff. And 2025 is going to be
come up big.
Insane.
Yeah. If all the games hit, we get GTA 6. If Elden Ring, Night Rain is as good as it looks.
We hope it is.
Yeah, I mean, and not to mention all the Switch 2 stuff. So, yes. Mario Kart,
yeah.
Mario.
What is your... we may have already talked about, what is your number one most anticipated game next year?
At this point, probably Metroid Prime 4.
Okay.
What about you?
It's either that. I'm going to say Prime 4 as well, because I just don't know if GTA 6 is going to come out next year. But if GTA 6 is a definite yes next year, we know it's a definite at this time. Obviously, we don't know. I would say GTA 6 because I just want to see what the hell it is. And in this landscape of cancellation for over the littlest things, like how deep are they going to go with the jokes?
Yeah.
It's set in Vice City, Florida. So like we already know it's going to be ridiculous. How far are they going to go with it?
Yeah.
Who's going to get made fun of?
I think everyone.
I mean, out of the 10 years plus that GTA 5 has been on the market, there's so many things that they can take from.
Yeah. There's like millions of trends they can make fun of.
And I don't watch a ton of South Park anymore, so I don't know what their take is on all this stuff. But yeah, I'm very curious to see what Rockstar does, because they're usually like no holds barred. They don't fucking care. They'll just do whatever they want to do.
I'm extremely curious. Like probably the most curious about.
Yeah. And I could care less about like online, like
which probably won't.
It's probably not even going to work.
Yeah, probably not have it in launch.
I mean, they probably will have it to some degree, but I feel like it's just going to be. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this game sold like 40, 50 million copies in like the first 2 weeks.
I think it will. I think it'll be the fastest selling game of all time.
Yeah, it's gonna be ridiculous. Like I would think about like taking work off that day just because of that game, but like, can I get in? Like, is it gonna be a waste? Yeah, if I could play, like, hopefully, like the single player is gonna be separate than the multiplayer. Like, it's not on one server.
Preload it.
Yeah, but
all 500 gigs it's gonna take up.
It's gonna be ridiculous. Yeah, it's gonna be crazy. Yeah. I'm excited, but Metro Prime 4. I mean,
that game's been hyped up for 7 years.
And after like not really being a huge Metroid guy, like after playing through Dread and then playing through Remastered, and really, I mean, that was on my top 10 last year. I'm pretty hyped for it. And I just want to
Fusion too.
I did, yeah, Fusion I played as well.
Yeah.
So like after playing all these Metroid games, like I'm super hyped for it. I want to see what the hell it looks like on the Switch too, because we know it's got to be cross gen. I want to see how it looks like. I want to see what the gameplay looks like. Is there going to be multiplayer in there? Probably not, but I mean, maybe. Not that that's like, I mean, I could kind of care less about multiplayer, but yeah.
Would be cool to have like that kind of like BioShock 2 level multiplayer.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Just to have something to dig around in.
Yeah, let's look at multiplayer.
Yeah.
All right, Nick, well, final thoughts on this year?
It was a great year.
It was a good year.
I'm glad our lists were so different this year.
I had a feeling, as soon as I was like, yeah, Emio is going to make my list, I was like, anything's possible.
You're like, I'm cooking. I'm absolutely
cooking. I'm cooking up a list right now. But yeah, I figured it was going to be a pretty diverse list. So yeah, we covered, I think, some of the big stuff. All right, guys. Well, we hope you enjoyed this final episode of Gaming with the Bros Cast of 2024. Let us know what your favorite games of the year, what your game of the year is for 2024. You can follow us on all of our different social media platforms.
Yeah.
TikTok, Twitter, X, all that good stuff. Again, we're not going to have a show next week. We're just going to kind of enjoy the final week of 2024, and we'll be back in the swing of things of 2025. Hopefully, we get immediately switched to stuff. Who knows?
I think by the second week of January, we'll be in full force.
I think the second week of January, we're getting something.
Yeah.
First week, I mean, probably not, because I mean, right, yeah, first of the year. But I mean, who knows? But also, I mean, if depending on if more stuff starts to leak out from all the manufacturers and stuff and the third party accessory companies, maybe they just want to get on top of it.
It's rumored that they're trying to push up their announcement.
Yeah,
that all the stuff is leaked out.
Yeah,
I mean, it's leaked so much that it's boring to talk about how the Switch 2 is going to look.
I mean, we know what it looks like basically. Like if everything is true, like it. I mean, obviously we knew it kind of was going to be just a Switch, but bigger.
Shocker. But like,
it looks like a Switch but bigger, and it has like a capture button or the C button that we don't know exactly what does. Right. Any thoughts on what that button does?
I don't know.
I have a theory.
What's your theory?
So I think, I don't know how it's going to work, but I'm thinking maybe there's like a dual screen mode.
It connects to the TV.
Yeah. So like you still play on the TV, but like maybe like your actual screen does something like a map or something like that.
Like Wii U.
Yeah. Wii U.
So you have your screen on your Switch, and then it displays on the TV.
But it also could be because like there's like a microphone that's apparently on the system now. Could be a chat button. Pretty boring, but
that's pretty boring.
But it's got the USB-C port on top now, so like maybe that's like the extra screen that plugs in. You know, I mean,
you think there's gonna be like a?
I mean, the rumor for a while was like what the Switch attach. So like I think you're gonna be able to attach stuff to this thing using that USB-C port, because like now there's two. You have the bottom port and then you have the top one, according to the the photos that have been leaking or the renders and mock-ups. But again, we don't know if that's 100% true, but who knows?
I thought that would be to make charging easier.
It could be. Yeah. It'd make it easier if you were like playing a tabletop.
Yeah. But I mean, that's a great theory to be able to actually attach like a separate screen or some sort of peripheral to it.
Yeah.
I'm excited. Either way.
Yeah. It's going to be exciting. I'm ready for it.
I'm ready. I think the world is ready at this point.
Yeah. Shout out to all the Nintendo YouTubers out there.
They're doing their best, man.
They're struggling right now. Well, maybe not. There's been a lot of leaks. So, But yeah. All right, guys. Well, we will see you. Well, I guess it won't be until this.
It's the first week of January, technically next week.
Yeah. When is?
We'll see you.
So next Monday. Yes, it'll be the 6th. So it'll be 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Which makes sense if we're taking a week off.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. Cool.
See you next year.
Yeah. See you next year. Hopefully everybody has a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Whatever. Happy Hanukkah. Whatever you celebrate. Hopefully everybody has a safe, relaxing. If you have the week or two off. Enjoy some time with the family.
Gaming,
yes.
RPGs.
Play some RPGs. Yeah, for sure. All right, guys. Well, we'll see you on the next episode.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.